Hey everyone, welcome back to the Big D Coins channel. Would you look at this? 2 days in a row of daily uploads. So hopefully we can get another video for you tomorrow, Sunday, and we'll try and make it 3 days in a row. But for now, let's talk about today's video, which is going to focus on the 1961, in particular the 1961 D Washington quarter. Now the reason for that is because at mint state 67, these ones right here are worth a lot of money. In fact, PCGS has only graded 8 of them at a mint state 67. Compare that to the 1964 Denver Mint Washington quarter, in which PCGS has graded 67 of them at a mint state 67. So the prices on the 1961 Denver Mint Washington quarter are obviously going to be a lot higher. Now we'll bring those right back very shortly, but let's first show off what we've got in the foreign showcase for today's video. So the foreign showcase is a section that I do sometimes at the end of the video, in which I talk for about a minute about a foreign coin. So in today's video, we'll talk about this one right here, which is the half penny from Jamaica. I've never been, but was fortunate enough to come across one of these coins right here, made it all the way to the United States up to Maine. So we'll talk about this one right here in the foreign showcase of today's video. And this one right here is a Ike dollar. As you can see, it's a very big coin. And this one right here represents the video that I made yesterday. Now, the key of the topic of yesterday's video was, one, not to assume that all San Francisco Mint Ike dollars are made out of silver, because some of them aren't. Some of them are just proof-clad coins. And the other takeaway from yesterday's video was that the 1973 is going to be very hard for you to come across. There are only 1 million or 2 million of them made at the different mints for the different strikes. So if you're having trouble finding a 1973 Ike dollar, that's totally understandable because the mintages on them are particularly low. But if you want to get more detailed, check out the video I posted yesterday, or the one that's previous to this one right here. Now let's slide these quarters right back into the shot. Now if you haven't seen an older quarter, the mint mark is going to be located right down there. Now, before we get into the prices, it's important to understand the mintages, because that can be a main driver for the prices. Now, as far as a 1964 goes, there are 560 million that were made at the Philadelphia Mint. Those will not have a mint mark on them. There are 704 million that were made at the Denver Mint. Those will have the D Mint mark on them. So 560 million and 704 million. Compare that back to 1961, so just a few years earlier, there were only 37 million made at the Philadelphia and only 83 million made at the Denver. So 37 and 83 compared to 560 and 704. You can see that there is quite a drop off there. Now let's get back to this one right here, and we'll just isolate it and talk about the 1961 Denver Mint. Now PCGS has a very nice website on there. You can search the price guide for Washington quarters, and it's very easy to navigate. Unlike some of the other coins like the dime, which can have a full bands designation, the nickel, which can have the full steps, the penny has different copper coloring, so it can have the red, brown, and the brown. The Washington quarter, the only thing that you'll see on the PCGS is for the mint state prices. So a mint state, that just says the mint state grading, and then the grades go all the way up until 70. That's the highest possible graded coin. And the highest graded by PCGS, the highest one that they've ever graded for the 1961 D, happens to be a mint state 67. They've graded 8 of those in total. Now the other coin grading agencies like NGC, they grade them as well, but PCGS is kind of the most expensive and the most reputable coin grading company out there. Now, if you want to sell yours at an auction, PCGS is a good way to go. So at a mint state 67, they've got a price guide of $5,500. Now, here's a little commentary from one of their contributors to the PCGS website. This is a comment that Ron Guth wrote. So 1961D is one of the great condition rarities in the Washington Quarter series. Collectors compete so intensely for the top quality examples that the prices are now solidly into the 5 figures for the mint state 67. Now, I'm not sure when he wrote that comment, but I can confirm for you today that is still the case. The most recent one has sold in January 2017, sold for $4,230 at a heritage auction. Interestingly, one of the very odd prices is a March 2008 auction in which a Mint State 67 sold for $18,975. So I'm not sure why that coin was so highly priced, but that seems way out of whack. Maybe it was just because of all the rampant speculation that was going on in the country in early 2008. Whoever paid $18,975 for that, the financial crisis kind of came a few months later in the fall of that year, so they really probably should have just held on to that money and not spent it, or waited a year or two and then bought one for $4,000 or $5,000 and not $18,000. All right, back to Ron Guth's commentary. Let's see what else he has to say. Those old timers who were used to seeing the 1961D quarters just about everywhere in circulation may now marvel at the lofty prices. However, this is merely a reflection of the demand for quality and the lack of quality where this state is concerned. Now, the mintages were pretty high, but the problem is not many quality ones have survived. All right, I think we've talked enough about the 1961D Washington quarter. Keep your eye out for it at a very high condition. It will be worth a lot of money just because of rarity of it. Now let's bring in the foreign coin. This one right here is the half penny. This one comes to you from Jamaica. I did my best to find one that was made in the 1960s. This one happens to be dated 1964. So this series was made from 1964 to 1966. So just for 3 years, the mintages were very, very low. The mintages in 1964 were 1.4 million, then 1.2 million, and then 1.6 million for the year 1966. So this one right here was one of only 1,440,000 of these that were produced. I'll zoom in a little bit more for you so you can see even more details. So we have Jamaica right here. On the reverse of the coin, we see a phrase down here on the ribbon that says, "out of many, one people." So that's where the phrase right there. Then we see the face value, half penny, the year that it was made, the country at the top. When we flip it over, you're not going to be surprised who you see right here. We've got Queen Elizabeth II, a very common theme on most foreign coins that we've looked at on the channel so far. All right, everyone, that's all I've got for today. Let's quickly recap. We took a very brief look at this Jamaica half-penny coin. We talked a lot about the 1961D Washington quarter and how that quarter is worth so much more than its equivalent a few years later, 1964D. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've got any recommendations for me, feel free to let me know. Hopefully everyone's having a great weekend. Maybe check out the coin shop if there's one near you, and have a great time. Enjoy.